As everybody is talking about the Nick Sirianni babysitting chaos and everything that happened to the Eagles in order for them to have the epic collapse that they did, I just want to take a second and say, Dallas still stinks. And also, I think Chase Young is the guy we got to get. Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you guys are doing. I hope you're hanging in there. Let me just say this. Let me say this right off the bat. When you go 10-1 and you're 2 games up in first place, and you then collapse and you get destroyed the way you did, and the team quits on you the way they did, things that are coming out right now in the press is bound to happen. It's going to happen. Now, I must admit, I didn't expect the Big Dom babysitting Nick Sirianni angle to happen. But a lot of the stuff that's coming out, it's not surprising, because whether this stuff is true, whether it's not true, whether it's, exaggerated, at the end of the day, this was a team that was 10-1, 2 games up on first place, and they quit. And you could go back and watch their efforts and watch the way they play. You can't tell me something wasn't going on, something wasn't happening. And when you get a press conference with Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman, and they come out and nobody asks these tough questions about what happened and really push them on it, well then what happens is all this stuff starts to trickle out. Now, I'm kind of done with it already. Like, it's been a hard few days of listening to all this crap. I hate the negativity. I really do. And I think that a lot of it is bullcrap. I think a lot of it is overblown. I think a lot of it is bullcrap. The one area that I think is true is I think the Derek Gunn report about Sirianni and Big Dom is true. Now, I think it's probably not to the levels that all of us imagine and go to from reading the tweet. It's probably not that bad. However, there has to be some elements of truth. And the reason I think that was, well, you were 10-1, you were 2 games up on first place, and you utterly, totally collapsed. Okay? And the thing about it was, Big Dom helped Nick Sirianni with his emotions. And Nick Sirianni couldn't deal with the position he was in, and he couldn't stop the Eagles' collapse. He didn't know what to do. He was inexperienced, okay? It was like he was in over his head. And I think that's really the key to this and the key to everything. Despite the arguing, the yelling, the players, the coaches, Nick Sirianni was in over his head. And he didn't have the coaches around him to help him manage and get through this. This is why they've put experienced coaches around them now, and that's where it is. And if that's not the case, and if that's not the truth, then the truth is that Nick Sirianni wasn't being babysat. Dom was protecting the players and the coaches from Nick Sirianni, because Nick Sirianni was double moonwalking that ass. And maybe, possibly, Nick Sirianni is still the head coach of the Eagles because Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie were too scared to fire him. They said, we can't fire this guy. You going to fire him? No, you going to fire him? This guy will beat our butts. He ain't no Carson Wentz. All right? He ain't going to put up with Howie with his Napoleon hat, his pocket pencil protector, his glasses. He ain't going to do it. He's going to be thrown up in the toilet, and Nick and Howie's going to be yelling at him. He's going to grab his head and go, you know what I'm saying? So maybe they were just scared Nick. I don't know. It's either one of those two things. Now, I personally believe that Nick Sirianni, and what happened with Nick Sirianni is he was over his head. He was over his head, and he started to lash out at players, lash out at coaches, and Dom was there to help him. I think there's truth to it. I do. I don't think Derek Gunn is wrong about that. I think a lot of the stuff with Jalen Hurts is overblown. I think the stuff with A.J. Brown has been flat out wrong and just horrible. I think it's been horrible what has been said about A.J. Brown. I think there's a lot of bullcrap. There's a lot of smoke, and in some of this stuff, there are elements of truth. That's just the way it is. and we're going to hear more stuff come out. And I wish this stuff would have happened and these questions would have been asked directly to Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni instead of trying to brush it under the table, because now everybody has something to say. Everybody wants to say their opinion or tell you what they heard, and it just makes everything worse. And you know what? That's kind of all I'm going to say about it, because I'm done with it. I'm done with it. I can't talk about it anymore. It's like, it's too depressing. I need to talk about something good. I need to talk about free agency, and free agency will be a nice break from this stuff. It really will. Now, I was thinking a lot, I was thinking about this Nick Sirianni thing, and I was thinking, it can't be to the levels that they say it is. But there's some elements of truth, something to that effect. I was also thinking about, what are the Eagles going to do in free agency? What are they going to do? Where do I think they're really going to go? Where should they go? And I came across this report, right? And this was from JPA Football, and it was rumors. The Panthers pass rusher, Brian Burns, was seeking $30 million per year in contract extension from team, per Joseph Person. The Panthers were willing to go as high as 5 years, $27 million a year. Okay? So, when I see that, I say to myself, there ain't no way the Eagles are going to pay Brian Burns $30 million. $27 million. And they're not going to pay Reddick $25 million. All right? So, to me, I don't think the Eagles should go after Brian Burns. I like him. I like him a lot. And I really do think the Eagles want to go out and get another impact pass rusher. And, having to extend Reddick, which I still think they need to do, and they should go out and do that right away. With the need to extend Reddick, what are you going to do? You still need another pass rusher. I believe that the Eagles need to get better at the pass rush. They were one of the worst third down teams in the league at getting sacks. And yes, their secondary is bad. Their linebackers are bad. How do you do everything? How do you try to hit all those positions and be able, to get players that can come in and still have some money under the cap, take care of Reddick, take care of Landon Dickerson, take care of Devontae Smith? And I think the answer is Chase Young. I think Chase Young is the answer, because Chase Young is only 24 years old. He had 7.5 sacks last year. He's extremely talented. We all know how talented he is. He's had injuries. He's also been labeled at times to not put his all in or go all out. But because of where he's at with what he's done in his career and his injuries, he may come at a manageable cap hit for the Eagles. I think Chase Young should be the Eagles' primary attack, or a primary guy to go after, even over Snead, even over some other guys. Not that I wouldn't want Snead, but you need another pass rusher. Okay, that's what I really think. And I might not be far off here, because Tim McManus did something where he talked about the 5 defensive players that the Vic Fangio would like to go after possibly for his defense. One of the guys on there was Chase Young. Here's what he said. Chase Young, 49ers, age 24. The second overall pick in 2020 was dealt from the Washington Commanders to the Niners at the trade deadline last season. He had 7.5 sacks on the year and added a sack and 2 quarterback hits during San Francisco's Super Bowl run. Significantly, he played in 19 games, including playoffs, after injuries limited him to just 12 total over the previous 2 seasons. So he played 19 games, including playoffs, after he only had played 12 games in 2 years. While it would be tough to replace Reddick's production if he moves on, I'll talk about that in a second. He's had 27 regular season sacks during his 2 years in Philadelphia. The Eagles to this point have been hesitant to give Reddick the desired raise. Young still has plenty of upside and could likely be had at a manageable number. Now, he's talking about if they let Reddick go, maybe you take a run at Chase Young. I'm saying you keep Haason Reddick and you take a run at Chase Young. You let Reddick go, see what he can get on the open market. I think the Eagles know it's not going to be as much as he wants. Hopefully you can work an extension out with him, and hopefully you figure something out, and then you deal with it, or even if it's a restructure or something. But you keep Reddick. Do you go out and you get Chase Young? I think Chase Young will be at a manageable cap hit. If you could add Chase Young with his upside, keep Reddick. And listen, I'm telling you right now, I'm keeping Reddick. I'm not trading Reddick. So if Reddick can't get an extension because it doesn't work out, you can't do a restructure, then Reddick is just going to have to play out the last year of his contract. I'm sorry. He's just going to have to go out and play it. He wants to hold out. He's only going to hurt himself. But I'm not Reddick is not going anywhere this year. My preference is to figure out a way to work a deal out with him. But I am not going to sit there and just give him away for nothing. I am not. Chase Young needs to be acquired with with Reddick already there. If he's replacing Reddick, then you still need to go get somebody else. To me, if you keep Haason Reddick and you get Chase Young, I think that would be a very good move. And I also think it would allow you to still be able to go out and address the secondary, and it would still make you be able to go out and address the linebackers, okay? Now, Patrick Queen, Van Ginkel, whatever. I think the Eagles should I personally would like to see the Eagles put most of their money into their linebackers this year. For once, let's go out and just really get good, solid linebackers. Let's do that. That's what I would love to see the Eagles do. Now, if you go out and get Chase Young, I think you're going to be able to get him at a decent rate. I think you're going to be able to make it work. You keep Reddick, and then you build on from there. You go out, you get linebackers, you get yourself a corner or a safety, and I think you're off to the races. Reddick Chase Young seems like the best guy for the Eagles to get. Tremendous upside, very talented, and young, but he hasn't been so productive that he's going to command $30 million, $25 million on the open market. I think you could get him at a good deal. And I think the Eagles need to go after Chase Young. I think that's probably going to be one of my top 3 targets, assuming the 49ers don't re-sign him or anything like that. I think the Eagles should take a chance. It's risky. He may not work out, but if he can live up to his ceiling, if he can be as good as he was last year or better, I think you're going to see Chase Young with the Eagles be a steal, an absolute steal. Let me know what you guys think, and make sure, if you haven't, to subscribe. We might hit 100,000 subscribers today. It might happen today, and we're going to have a live stream cigar video. We're going to do a couple things for that, so look for that. But if you haven't hit that subscribe button, we are getting close. And to everybody who's been with me a long time, thank you so much for your support. We will definitely talk about it much later. Thank you. With that said, take care. Talk to you later, of course. Don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's Howie Vision. We're all just living in it. You know what? I could use a good laugh. I think all of us Eagle fans can. And when you need a good laugh, just look at the Dallas Cowboys and all their choke jobs, because that is music to my ears. Denzel Washington out.